Well, I think I'm live. Could be Memorex. If I was, what a terrible waste. So, assuming I am actually live, welcome to Dad Live in the Den, little Sunday stream. Got like a lot of stuff actually this week, including like the coming attractions type stuff. Because I last week had a ton, but I kind of figured this week not so much. I mean, last week there was a lot of build up to like San Diego Comic-Con. So I thought, all right, everybody's kind of popping everything out there to get attention. Should be pretty light this week. And hey, Anton, how you doing, man? How you doing, sir? So I thought, yeah, probably pretty light, but actually it was a lot, and there was a lot of little news. I mean, nothing major, but so yeah, this might be a longer. Watch out! Notice that Dennis. Oh, yeah, I know. There's an Android behind me. What? Yeah, that's a Data. There's a refugee from my daughter's room. We were doing a little closet repair this week, so we had clothes and all sorts of good stuff all over the house. So we cleared the closet out so I could put in some supports. We got an older house, and built back in the 70s when nobody could afford anything, so it wasn't ready for her rather large collection of clothes. But I did learn an important thing, though. Working in that closet, it was all emptied out. I said, you know what? If I can get this kid out of the house, I'll have plenty of room for storing comic books in this closet. I don't have to stop buying comic books at all. I'm golden. I just have to evict my daughter is all. But anyway, yeah, so I kind of had most of the week off from work, taking a little mini vacation, getting some work done here and there, making some videos. Got up, I guess it must have been Wednesday morning. Woke up really early. And I jumped onto YouTube. We jump on YouTube via Roku on the TV all the time. And live funeral procession for Ozzy Osbourne in Birmingham. And then there was another one, and there had to be like 15 accounts doing a live. I was like, wow, man. I mean, you expect that when it's like the Queen or something passing, but and good for Ozzy. Like, he got a lot of attention there. So that was kind of interesting. And I guess the other big thing this week was the whole Sydney Sweeney thing, which is like, it's like morons to the left of me, morons to the right of me. Crazy stuff. But the other thing that got me, like, beyond all the political nonsense, which I just don't, it's just so dumb. It's just dumb. I think 90% of that is designed to get people to give money to politicians. Like, I don't even think it's a matter of, I don't think anybody believes anything in politics. It's just, it gives you an opportunity to send a fundraiser letter out to people and see if somebody will bite. But the one funny thing that got me about the Sydney Sweeney thing, besides the folks who hated it, like the folks who love it, I'm going, like, I get it. She's attractive and all that, but you'd find like a half dozen women as attractive or more attractive just as extras in the average Magnum PI episode back in the 80s. That to me is kind of the more interesting thing, is that her posing in that, denim tuxedo is like so amazing, when back in the day, it's like you were inundated with models in things. And I'm sure from the guy side too, lots of good looking guys and things for the ladies. But yeah, it's kind of weird that it's even such a big deal. I get it why the collectivists who are obsessed with race freaked out about it. God help them all. But it just shows you, like, it's weird that it's such a big deal. Like, it's such a big friggin' deal. I mean, it was kind of a big deal when Brooke Shields did the One Jeans ad. That was, meant to be really sexy. Because I think she was like 16 at the time. You go, okay, it's a little weird, but my band was very, yeah, and Anton's talking about the band playing in like one of the Ozzy processions, and I think they did something like the I don't know, man, I'm not English, but it was like the Royal Guard or the whatever doing a Black Sabbath tune, which is kind of mind-bending. In a weird way, I almost don't like it. It's like, but Ozzy and metal are supposed to be a rebellion against, like, the system and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know it's like it is and it isn't, but it's like, it's almost wish, like, Prince Charles or King, I don't know, he's always going to be Prince Charles to me. Sorry, buddy. You don't cut it, but as a monarch. But if King Charles should have been angry about it, and then it would be like, yes, the establishment is angry about Ozzy. Good. That's how it should be. It's like, he shouldn't be acceptable to the establishment. I mean, you almost could picture Ozzy. It's like that bit in the old Osbournes where they wanted to have the bubble machine at his concert. He's like, the bloody Prince of Darkness. I can't have bubbles, and of course he ends up getting bubbles. Funny how things change. I guess the other kind of big news was, it's kind of just popping out now, 66% box office drop for Fantastic Four. So it seemed to me like it got somewhat more positive reviews than Superman. So I thought it was going to keep up maybe a little better, but it looks like it's maybe running into some trouble, which probably has a lot to do just where Marvel movies are in general. It might still manage to make its money back in the theaters, but not, man, definitely. And with Superman 2, this is not exactly what they were looking for. It really is sort of having to start all over again. I think they're both going to be about in the same place that, the old Iron Man movie was in terms of launching new things. Both could have been stronger. I mean, I think Jurassic World, it's beating them. But even if you look at where it's at, you're kind of like going, that's not really, like I said, a big kind of tentpole movie at this point. If it's keeping up with those kind of movies from the past, really should be, if not over $1 billion, close to $1 billion. And to be like a big hit, like friggin' huge, probably should be creeping up on 1.5 billion. And like, we're looking at stuff that's going to 650 to 700 million. The Jurassic World, I think, is at 750. So it'll probably get into that general vicinity. If it keeps on going along, there's not a lot of competition. But yeah, it's not, probably not doing exactly what they wanted it to. I mean, they're not going to admit that, but I think they probably would have liked it to have been a little bit stronger. Well, Naked Gun came out, but it made like 6.9 million in the theaters, and it was number 3 behind a couple different things. Well, obviously, if it was number 3, it would be behind a couple different things. I can't remember what those were. So, I mean, I don't know if, obviously Naked Gun had an impact, but I don't know if it had a huge impact on those movies, especially because you'd think Fantastic Four, part of what's going to make that work is getting in kids, getting in families, for an action flick. Naked Gun, probably not appropriate for children, I would guess. The old one wasn't totally appropriate for kids. Not like way out, but new one with the people behind it, probably less so, I would guess. But, I'm sure it did have an impact, but you'd think it would have been a little bit stronger. And I'm sure they were hoping it was going to be a little bit stronger. But this is something cool. Bring that up there. From Blue Underground on X. The misplaced Fire and Ice negatives were recently found. And so a long-awaited new restoration of that awesome Bakshi movie is underway. I mean, awesome, visually awesome, stunning. You know, it's not like a super complex story or anything like that, but very cool fantasy film. So it looks like they're going to be able to do a full restoration of it now. And it is crazy, isn't it, that you could like misplace things like that? You always think there's going to be, you know, a lot of organization involved in these things and things filed away carefully. But it's like, you know, hey, where'd those negatives go for that feature film we made? I don't know. I put them somewhere. Look at the closet. No, I looked in the closet. It's not there. Well, did you move things? Yeah, I moved everything. I didn't find them. I don't know. Well, so anyhow, but apparently they're going to be able to get that restoration underway, get it on like, you know, 4K or whatever, which for that would probably be worth it. I'm not necessarily that big on super high def for live action. I like a little film grain. I think it lends something, honestly, to the film. Modern films, the way they're shot, always look cheap to me. They look like cheap direct-to-video, shot-on-videotape stuff from the 80s. It really doesn't do anything. But when it comes to animation, I think it actually does help show just how beautiful that animation was when it was created. So that'll be very cool. Also saw that Warner Brothers is going to be Warner Brothers again because they're splitting the company. Warner Brothers Discovery. They're going to be Warner Brothers, and there's going to be like Discovery, yada, 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 something. The Discovery side will be the cable networks. Maybe, I don't know, maybe streaming? I have no idea. The Warner Brothers side will be the movies. But, you know, it's probably really more about shielding one or other of those companies from debt that the other one had. That's often what these companies will do, is they'll, you know, we're splitting off our functions of this. And, oh, by the way, that new little company we created, it also holds all of the debt from our old company. So it'll go under pretty soon, but we don't really care because we got rid of our debt. Now we can move on our happy way. So anyways, though, so Warner Brothers is going to be Warner Brothers again. And they really probably need to just increase the quality of their goods if it's going to matter, or they're going to be right back where they started from. But also, this is cool for an old nerd like me. I guess a new company, or maybe it was existing, but it's gotten control of 47 different old Commodore computer trademarks from whoever was holding on to them. Now, there's still some other ones that are owned by other companies. The Amiga stuff is still, I think, owned by someone else. And I guess they're working on it. So they have plans to do something with Commodore. And I don't know if it's going to be more like retro computing, which at this point might not be a bad thing at all, because it's, you know, honestly, I haven't seen a whole lot. Well, every time we get an update now to anything, it seems to make whatever we were working on worse. And I think that's because 90% of the updates involve basically the shit we used to see from hackers. Like it involves trying to track you, grab your information, use it for some purpose, which never seems to materialize. Like YouTube wants everybody signing in so YouTube can track you, so YouTube can give you advertisements that have nothing to do with what you're interested in, ever. Because most of what I do on YouTube, I do under my account, you know? So they can track what I'm watching, etc. And they never show me anything I'm interested in, ever, 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 ever. So it's like you guys are so obsessed with tracking and gathering data, you're either not using it effectively, not using it at all, or you're just plain, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're doing. So, you know, a retro computer that I could jump on and get things done without all the BS would be actually kind of cool. But we'll see what Commodore does. But as an old VIC-20 guy, that was kind of cool to see. This one, my wife showed me this, and I was like, wait, what? Apparently in August, the 12th of August, McDonald's Happy Meals are going to be offering this mashup of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Hello Kitty. I don't know. Was anybody asking for this? It seems an odd thing. Like, we've seen a mashup between the Turtles and He-Man recently, like with some figures, and you go, okay, yeah, you get it. That kind of makes sense. They kind of blend with each other. I don't know that there's a huge crossover audience for Hello Kitty and the Turtles. Now, I'm sure there is. It exists, and collectors will probably snap these things up, but it's sort of odd. Also, no Pom Pom Purim, so I'm out, man. I'm out. If the fat dog who likes to show off his beehole is not going to be there, obviously I'm not interested. But yeah, that was kind of an interesting one. I'm kind of going, I have a weird feeling kids would be way happier with Turtles toys and Hello Kitty toys and not a combination of the two. What do you say, Data? Yeah, that's what I thought. Also, we see a little sneak peek of what they're referring as the new Spider-Man costume for the Tom Holland movies. And I'm like, and by new, you mean the actual Spider-Man costume. It looks like they've grown so desperate now. They're actually going to try to do something comic book accurate. And it does seem, pretty close, about as close as we're going to get. I did see a couple other images that looked a little better. I mean, just in terms of like, you could see better. The emblem maybe is a little bit different, but it looked like they even had an emblem on the back. I don't think it was the big fat round spider that I love, but yeah, it looks like they're trying to get into something that really looks like old school, maybe John Romita Spider-Man, which is kind of cool. These images, by the way, come from on X, Unbox PhD. So you might want to look up Unbox PhD for some more of that. And there's some video of him walking around in the suit as well. Anton says it makes no sense for Hello Kitty and Ninja Turtles. I know they're teaming up with Godzilla. That should be interesting. Yeah, a Godzilla Turtles thing. Okay, yeah, you get that in a way. I mean, does it really make sense? Maybe not, but it kind of flows together, Hello Kitty plus the Turtles is just weird, but that's kind of cool to see that. I like it. I like the look of it. I like the eyes. Yeah, so maybe they're figuring a few things out. Some people thought that with the Fantastic Four movie, they didn't do some of the dumb stuff they've done. They did do some of the dumb stuff, though, that people are tired of with, sex swaps. And I know that sounds like something different. I don't care for the term gender. That's a language term, not a biology term. It's just me. But, and also like the multiverse stuff. That's like, I think that's actually going to be killing them more than almost anything. When you go, I just watched this movie and it's part of the Marvel universe. Oh, really? What impact does it have? Absolutely none. That's great. Glad I watched it to really keep up with things. So I think that's going to hurt them too. But at any rate, that looks pretty cool. I've never watched one of these. My daughter loves it, loves Tom Holland. 2 pieces. And, but maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll tune into one of these things someday. I saw some scenes from the last one and I was like, I wasn't real impressed with the acting, if I'm completely honest. I don't want to blame the acting, the writing. I think the actors probably did what they could do with the writing, but the writing was like, not for me, but God bless it anyway. So that pretty much is the kind of like little nerdy news of the week that I've seen. New acquisitions in Dad's Den. So this one, a little bit of story. Last week, I was talking about the Superman 1978 movie action figures that were out from Spinmaster that I saw somebody showing them off on X, and I was like, I didn't realize those were for sale. They were only at Target. So I went to the Target website and there they all are. And they're like $8 each. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I start putting them in my cart and I'm going, okay, there's 1, 2, there's 3. There's my cart says 0. Why isn't it going to put, let me try to hit the, oh, they're not really, yeah, they were sold out. They were sold out, all except for one Jor-El figure. And at the time, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't really just want a Jor-El figure. No offense, Jor-El, but all right, well, you know, I missed out. Big deal. But apparently they were showing up a little bit in the Target stores. So this week, wife and daughter run off to Target to do something. I go, hey, go check the toy aisle, see if they got any of those Superman figures. Well, she looks, sends me a picture of the empty peg. Nope, sorry, nothing. Okay, fine. But in her own looking around, she's like, well, it looks like they might be at this other Target that I go to sometimes. All right, well, she gets home and I'm thinking about it. I was watching an old movie at the time. It finishes and I'm like, let's go look. Let's go look. Probably not going to be there when I get there, but let's go look just in case. It was a hellish drive. The freeway was all screwed up. I missed this one turn, had to loop back around. We finally get to the friggin' Target. I'm going, I know they won't have. I know they won't have them. I know they won't have them. And lo and behold, we get to the peg, and at the front of the peg is, let's bring down the slideshow for a minute there. So whoops, okay, there we go. That's about, no, well, they could be better. Let's do it this way. So we see Jor-El. Okay, hey, they got the Jor-El too. Great. Well, they put all these on a single peg. So behind Jor-El, we find Zod. Right? Love that he's got the little, whatchamacallit, that they were trapped in. And behind Zod, we find Lex Luthor has the friggin' toupee. Gotta love that. What's the other thing? Oh, the newspaper. Twin nuclear missiles test confirmed. So we got that. And behind Luthor was Superman. Okay, so you notice we got basically, it looks like the old Star Wars packaging. Why they didn't do something like this back in 1978, I don't know exactly. But behind Superman were a couple additional Supermen, which, believe me, at the price, there was a little temptation. And then I said, no, somebody else might be coming and looking for these things. I don't want to be, grabbing all of them. So no Lois Lane. And there's also a Jor-El figure in black. There's the figures. Doesn't it look like Zod is kind of smiling? It's actually the mustache. He's angry, but his mustache makes him look happy. So I got 4 of them, and I wouldn't mind picking up a Lois Lane if I could find it, but it seems like it's a little harder to find. And it actually occurs to me, I'm like, yeah, the figures of girls in action figure lines oftentimes don't sell quite as well. So maybe they made less of those. But the $8 price was like really kind of cool. I mean, get something like this from Super 7, you're talking $20, maybe a little more, because I think they maybe bumped things a little due to the tariffs. But $8, I'm like, you can actually buy these for kids. And online, I was ready to buy actually a couple sets full out. And then I can, decard one set and keep the other set on cards for whatever reason. These I'll probably open up and display at some point. But yeah, I was pretty stoked that they actually found the things at the Target. So you might want to go look. They might still be a few of them around. They probably won't be around forever. I'm sure some folks are going out right now, snapping up every single one they could find. So I don't know if you got a Target that's sort of off the beaten path. That might be a good one to check. You can check. We did check online, and it did say they were in stock. So we ran over. Didn't find, well, no, I won't say what we didn't find because I haven't shown those off yet on here. We'll talk about that later. So we got that. I also got this week, move some stuff out of the way here, the 4 new issues of Blood Realm showed up from Alterna Comics. I've been collecting and reading this series, doing a terrible job of showing those off. But those showed up. I have not read them yet because even though I had the week off, I was doing a lot of stuff with that week off. Of course, I'd done the, what do you want to call it? Not Kickstarter, but I'm so old, dude. What's the term I'm looking for? Not pre-sale, funding, whatever the hell it was. Anyways, point is, I did that, so they're signed with Geronimo there. But yeah, looking forward to these. Very cool stuff. And I'm thinking, was this one of the ones? I'm trying to remember if the crossover with King Cryptid was included with these, or if that one's coming later. But at any rate, very cool. Got those. I did a little bit of a comic shop run this week, which was kind of cool because it was on a Wednesday, which I'm usually at work, so I don't usually do the new comic book day. Also, because the only new comic books I buy are the facsimiles. Anyways, but ran into Jarrett Keene at one of these shops. Inductee into the Nevada Writers Hall of Fame. Yes, I like to name drop. I like to show off all the cool people that I know out in the world. But so we got to chat for a while, and he got to meet my wife, which was kind of cool. But I actually hit 2 different stores and picked up a few books. Got some Conan the Barbarian, a couple of those. I got a couple more Justice League of Americas, including some that are like winding up to the end of the original Justice League run, which is really kind of sad. Filled in a few gaps in the Justice League Europe collection I'm working on, which was nice. Those will be reviewed at some point soon on the channel for Justice League Mondays. Got the last issue of Metal Men, and that was like, what was it, $3? So that was pretty good. Picked up a couple New Mutants. I'm trying to collect some of those. Got a very cool Spider-Man Santa Claus with a packing heat. Now these are the ones though that kind of got me the most excited. Oh, let me show these up first. Let's do those last. I couldn't resist this one. $5. Old Superboy fighting a gorilla. I'll buy just about anything with a gorilla on the cover. It's just the way I am. There's the facsimile of technically Superman #1, except it was really meant to be a one-shot at the time, so it wasn't numbered. Did so well. And of course, rounding out the X-Men Phoenix Saga, that facsimile. This Marvel comic could be worth $2,500 to you. You know, that was actually, I wonder what that actual original goes for now on resale. It might be worth about that much money in the end. But these are the ones that really kind of grabbed me. They were in the dollar bin. They were the last things I found going through it at the one store. Anybody else remember The Realm? Indie comic from back in the 80s. I had 1 or 2 issues, and I'd looked and found a few on eBay. You know, not a terrible price, but at the time it was kind of like, well, but finding these actually in, just a dollar bin was like, hell yeah. So I snapped those up quick. Looking forward to getting into those. Yeah, cool. It was very, very D&D. Very D&D overall. That one. Whoops. I'm making a lot of noise as I get these out of the way. So that was kind of the only acquisitions for the den. And I'll tell you, the Superman figures were not expected. I had pretty much decided, you know what? Love that price, but love that Joker. love the price, but I don't really need these in particular. So if I don't get them, I don't get them. That's fine. I thought maybe I'll check eBay at some point, and if I can find, the Superman figure at a reasonable price, might grab it. It's the Christopher Reeve Superman. I mean, looking at the image, if I'm completely honest, doesn't look majorly like Christopher Reeve, but it's not terrible, right? I mean, so I thought maybe I'll pick that up. Maybe I won't. I'm not worried about it. And then there they showed up. So that was very, very, very cool. So let's look at some coming attractions. And there's a ton of them, man. I was really surprised at how many there were. From White Elephant Toys, this is Gargon. Regular $50, glow in the dark for $75. This is, it's in imitation of one of the villains for, I want to say, the Super Joe line from back in the 70s. Let's see if I could figure out the name, because there was the one dude for there we go. That's on YouTube. That's not going to work for me. I'm probably not going to be able to find it. I'm trying to remember the name of the bad guy. No, that's Pinterest. That's not going to have any information either. His name is escaping me at the moment. Oh, Mego Museum. Okay. Mego Museum might have it. No, unfortunately it doesn't. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. It'll take too long to figure it out. But at any rate, this is basically a kind of a knockoff of one of the big bad guys the Super Joes were fighting back in the day. White Elephant has been doing a line inspired by that stuff, like the Adventure Command. So I went ahead and picked one up because God knows getting the original would be a hell of a lot more expensive. I just got the regular, not the glow in the dark. So I'll be showing that off in the channel when it arrives one of these days. And the Atomic Ape Men that I was talking about last week are up for sale now on White Elephant Toys website. They're $30 a figure. Very cool stuff. I like it. They're small, they're indie, and I do like to support that kind of stuff whenever I can. Not so much small, but somewhat indie. McFarlane Toys and Rippaverse is doing a new 7-inch ISOM figure. The line is called Rippaverse Primevals. There's going to be Isom, and we can assume Yaira will show up at some point. Maybe the Horseman. We'll see. $40. So, a little more expensive. But obviously it's going to be a smaller run. So you're going to expect to pay a little bit more for that kind of thing. But I've been following ISOM since the beginning. So I went ahead and picked one of those up too. It was a lot of stuff dropped that I really wanted, and I went for it. There's a few things that I was like, let's wait for a little while on this one. I got a decent little payout for my role-playing game stuff, so it helped pay for it. But at any rate, though. So ISOM 7-inch figure, box looks cool. And I mean, there's other packagings you can get with other stuff, but I-40 is like the low end for that one. So anyways, but very cool from McFarlane Toys. So I like to see the Rippaverse is expanding and taking advantage of its popularity, and it's cool. From Arrow, looks like there is a 4K ultra high def version of Excalibur coming soon. So there's not a whole lot of information on this one yet. Big movie for the nerd set, obviously. And 4K, again, if they're not screwing with it, if it's from the original prints, 4K is going to look really good with something like that. That was definitely a film with powerful art direction. So getting a really good copy of that's going to be nice. And maybe not so important in terms of art direction, but Clue is coming out on 4K Ultra High Def Blu-ray October 7th. You can pre-order it now on Amazon, $34. Love that friggin' movie. I remember seeing that in the theater. And if you remember, they released 3 endings for Clue, right? It's like a board game. There's different endings. There were 3 endings that you could see in the theaters. And of course, it was random. When we got on a video cassette, you could see what all 3 of the endings were. And it turns out the one that I saw back in the theater was how it really ended. It was the real ending all along. So there were some other poor people who got a fake ending. But that's coming out 4K. So that's cool. And now is this a movie you need in 4K? I don't know. Honestly, I think you can get just as much enjoyment probably on an old video cassette for a comedy like this. But if you are a 4K guy, might want to check that out. Peanuts, 75th Anniversary Ultimate TV Specials Collection on Blu-ray, also coming out October 7th. No pre-orders up yet from what I could see. This thing includes 40 specials from 1965 to 2011 and a booklet, with some kind of information in it. Looks like a pretty cool set. If I'm completely honest, I mean, we typically, again, because my wife and I, from when we were, born and raised, we will typically watch the Christmas special every year around Christmas. And we'll watch the Halloween special every year around Halloween. Easter Beagle around Easter. And the Thanksgiving one. And those are really the only 4 that we watch. So I don't think we'll need this. It's probably more material than we need. But if you are a big-time Peanuts fan, you might want to get this. All right, here's one. I was kind of alluding to this earlier. For geeky cereal lovers, Kellogg's putting out Demogorgon Crunch with maple waffle flavor. This is cereal is heading to stores in the USA and Canada soon. Obviously, this is a Stranger Things tie-in. Kind of cool if you are a big Stranger Things fan, or if you just like waffle maple cereal, which I have a couple people in my house who really do, so I won't be surprised if this one shows up real soon. But also from General Mills, they're doing their monster cereals with Muppet covers. Well, not covers, boxes, box art. So they basically, Jim Henson's people created, I didn't tell you what one. I did too tell you that one. You never listen. You always got the thing in your ear. You never listen. I absolutely told you about the maple thing. And I told Alyssa too. Handle my family disputes online. But so Jim Henson's Muppet people did Muppet versions of, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, Boo Berry, and they got these on the boxes. And there's a fuzzy box, apparently exclusively at Walmart. In other words, what do we say about exclusively at Walmart? Good friggin' luck actually ever getting the thing. But you could buy there. I don't really need a fuzzy box per se. But these are kind of cool, but you go, well, okay, I buy the boxes, I eat the cereal, I get rid of the boxes. What am I going to do? Save them forever? Well, if you're a collector, obviously. I told Alyssa and I told you were in the same room at the same time. But they also have it on t-shirts, looks like bowls, looks like cups. Now, I went to the site, shop.henson.com, and they had the t-shirts and the hoodies and those big metal water bottle thingies that are completely beyond me why anybody needs those. But I didn't see any of the mugs or the bowls, but they're kind of cool. So it's like, okay, good. I mean, I figure you go to the trouble of making these, these Muppet versions. You're going to do more with them than just slap them on a box. I mean, if you're going to do that, you could have probably just made them like in AI. And for all I know, they did. I hope they didn't. I hope these are actual real things. Maybe they'll do some commercials with them. That would actually be very cool. We're a little bit ahead of the game on Halloween, although I do notice, I think Spirit Halloween is cranking up here pretty soon. They got a giant Grim Reaper animatronic that they're showing off. I've seen that online. So yes, it's only August, but I guess we are getting into the spooky season. It just keeps getting earlier and earlier and earlier. but whatever. So you might want to look for these. Like I said, that was what I was mentioning when we went to Target. I said, well, let's look at the cereal aisle just in case. Didn't have any there yet, but it should be hitting cereal aisles in August. So pretty soon. We were like a couple days before August. So we were maybe a little early, but might want to check those out if you're into that kind of thing. Speaking of monsters, NECA has some deluxe Munsters figures out for pre-order. $42 a pop, but I gotta say, they look pretty good. So we got Herman Munster, of course, but dude, check out the friggin' grandpa. Dude, that is like dead accurate. I mean, that looks just like Al Lewis in that role. Incredible. Looks like we got mixed media there. It looks like a cloth cape, at least for grandpa. I don't think it's not cloth for the clothing, but still very, very cool. But 42 a pop. Like, I would love to put some Munsters in my little Mego type monster collection that I have. And I do have the NECA Bride of Frankenstein and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which are both just, I'm a big fan of both of those, but like, more figures, $80. I don't necessarily need to be doing that. So I haven't, but we'll see. Maybe if, I don't know, maybe if a deal comes along, but God, I'd really like to get that grandpa figure because it looks so damn good. Like, you want to reward whoever sculpted that one. That's really, really nice. What do we got here? Illustrators Special number 20. I wanted to call this one out. It's a special issue of this magazine featuring the dark arts of Graham Ingalls, Basil Gogos, Shane Oakley, Jack Richardson, Ann Tyler, Nick Paluco, and Tom Grindberg. Coming from Book Palace Books this month. Not sure what the price is. It's a Halloween special, though. But some gorgeous art in that one. And do I have... Yeah, there's a sample of what they're going to be having. So if you are into that monster art and the Basil Go-Go stuff is old school, you might want to check this one out. Again, I'm not sure what the price is on it. Illustrators Special number 20. Google it. You can find it. But if you are into the monster art, you might want to get that. We'll be talking about a monster magazine with some great art in it in a little bit. On this stream as well. From Imprint Television, Rod Serling's Night Gallery, the complete series on Blu-ray. Coming soon. No pre-orders that I can see. No prices that I can see. I'm trying to think I'm not sure how many seasons Night Gallery got. So I don't know how huge a collection that's going to be, but classic horror from the, was that late 60s or into the early 70s? Probably more early 70s, I think. And we're going to have another thing pop up from that era too in just a minute. Sign-ups are live now for Perfect 10 issue number 6 and a collected edition of the first 6 issues at Kickstarter.com. Dude, Perfect 10 is absolutely rad. Superhero stuff done right. Really fun. I've got the first 5 issues, and they do some, Dave Brink is the guy behind it. They got some other superhero stuff too that looks rad, but you might want to check that out, especially because you can get a collected edition of all 6 of the issues. She is like this cloned assassin that breaks free of her programming, gets involved with all sorts of other superheroes and supervillains. Very cool stuff. You might want to check that one out. From Vinegar Syndrome, Troma's Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, restored from the original 35mm camera negative, going to 4K Ultra High Def Blu-ray, $45 at the moment. If you go, where did I see that at? It might have been their site. Looks like it's maybe going to go regular $67. So if you are interested in a restored Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, now would be the time to grab this in Blu-ray for $45. So cool stuff. Iconic Comics. Eric is it Kanate? Is it Kaniti or Kanati or Kanit? I don't know how to pronounce. You know, I told myself, look up a thing to see how the name is pronounced so you don't sound like an idiot. And I didn't do that. So I do sound, in fact, like an idiot, but amazing artist. I remember following him on DeviantArt way back when. I was just blown away by his stuff. He's got a series called Arc Athena. Books 5 and 6 are now available at the same time. $25 each. They're hardcover. They're 64 pages. You can get a catch up with the other 4 issues. I think all of them together, it was like $125, something like that. I don't know if they'll do like an omnibus edition someday. That might be cool if they do, but really amazing artwork. This is a series I've been interested in, but haven't got into it yet, so I cannot give you a review of the series, but I do love Eric's art. You might want to check that one out. That's 5. That's 6. There are different covers, of course, because it's modern day comics. We never stop at one cover. From JerryAnderson.com. The most complete and faithful presentation of Thunderbirds to date, fully restored in original 4:3 aspect ratio, with audio options and packed with over 8 hours of bonus content across 11 discs. Does it sound like I'm reading a description? I am, in fact, reading a description. This is Blu-ray. It's region ABC, so I think it'll cover most folks. You could pre-order this giant Blu-ray collection for $150. So not cheap, unfortunately. Shipment should be winter 2025, but if you are a Thunderbirds fanatic, I think you would probably want to get this. Love the Thunderbirds. Probably not going to drop $150 because God knows I am running out of room for DVDs in my house, and I probably need to actually start clearing a few out rather than adding more. Mind you, I also mentioned yesterday, hey, we should maybe go check out a thrift store and we could find some cheap DVDs. Very consistent. I'm very consistent. So Abrams Comic Arts and Marvel teamed up to do Alex Ross's Fantastic Four one-shot a while ago. They're now doing The Avengers, The Veracity Trap, with Chip Kidd and Michael Cho, an adventure that questions the very nature of heroism, villainy, and existence. Which, if I'm honest, I love the look of the thing. I'm going, oh, are we talking like deconstruction? Is it deconstruction? I don't want to deconstruct anymore. I want just heroism and villainy. But it does look very awesome, and if that's stuff that's cool for you, coming out August 5th, so in a couple days, $26 for 64 pages. I think go to Abrams Comic Arts, and you will find the listing there. Does look absolutely beautiful, though. I will say that. It looks absolutely beautiful. Loki versus the old school Avengers might be worth a look for you if y'all are into that kind of thing. Fantagraphics. Got a couple Fantagraphics things here. I'm telling you, this stuff just kept rolling this week. I was amazed at how much stuff there was. But Lost Marvels #2 is going to collect the work of Howard Chaykin, featuring characters Dominic Fortune, Monarch, Starstalker, and Phantom Eagle. This is a 256-page hardback, so that is significant. Pre-order now at Fantagraphics for $50. So $50 for 256 pages ain't bad. If you are a Chaykin fan, you're not going to want to pass this one up. And this, you notice, Howard Chaykin, Volume 1. So there will be more. Also from Fantagraphics, Adventures into Weird Worlds, Volume 1. This is stuff from Atlas Comics. This is coming in March 2026. A little further ahead here. $45. 304 pages. A lot of work from Bill Everett. And I just was reading about those in Cryptology #4, which I'm going to show off in just a minute when I do some reviews. But so this is like Atlas horror stuff. Very cool stuff. You might want to check into that. Good price, though. I mean, 304 pages for $45. You can't beat it. Give you plenty of reading material. I saw this on Kickstarter. This is third volume of a comic originally published by Dark Horse called Where Monsters Lie. Now, this is called Dead End. This will cap the series. Apparently, Dark Horse did not want to do that. So they're going, they're taking it direct to the people. It's Kyle Starks and Peter Kowalski. Basically, it's about the crazy slasher movie monsters who just suddenly appear and wreak havoc and then are defeated and disappear, and then they come back later. Where are they between their terrible murder-killing sprees? This is where they are. This is going to be 60 pages in Volume 3 for $15, so that's not bad. You can get catch-ups, digital $15, $20 for a physical Volume 3, and digital Volume 1 and 2 to get the earlier material. I'm sure the earlier material is at least, controlled somewhat by Dark Horse, so they can't obviously offer up the physical copies of that. You could probably find them, though, comic book stores or online, etc. if you want physical. Thought it looked very cool. Might be worth reading. They are aiming for a February 2026 ship date. Did I have? No, I didn't have another image from it, but go check the Kickstarter out. You can see some more of the art and some other extras worth looking at. Kino Lorber. I talked about early 70s or 70s TV horror. So from Kino Lorber, Dan Curtis's classic Monsters, 1968 to 1974. Of course, Dan Curtis was the man behind Dark Shadows, did a lot of TV stuff, did the miniseries Winds of War, which was revolutionary. Dude was a genius at this stuff. Started off in sports doing golf, got the idea for Dark Shadows and pushed that through. That led to bigger things. So this is going to include Dracula from 1974. You see that on the cover. That was starring Jack Palance. Frankenstein, 1973, which I don't think I've seen. And The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1968, coming in October. And I don't think I've seen the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde either. I have to think there's like a old dirty movie out there called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. Please don't tell me if it does exist. I'm sure now with AI, it probably will exist, but I've spoken it into existence. But anyway, Dan Curtis does some awesome stuff. If you've never seen the Jack Palance Dracula, it's worthwhile. It's a fun one. I think they've shown it on Svengoolie a couple times. It can be found out there. But so this is coming out Blu-ray in, what did I say? October, coming in October. All right, we're almost done here, but we're not done yet. Like I said, a lot of stuff coming out right now. Maybe it's because the holidays are coming. They're trying to get stuff out for the Christmas season. I don't know. From Rockin' Pins, who does work with like Fleischer cartoons and stuff. In fact, my Coco the Clown comes from Rockin' Pins. Love this figurine. Unbelievable. They have the volume 1 of Mutt and Jeff cartoons. 20 cartoons for $25, available now on their site, DVD. Now, Mutt and Jeff was a comic strip that ran from 1907 to 1983. That's a pretty damn good run. Originally done by Bud Fisher. This is an image. I found this at comicartfans.com. Give you a sample of what Mutt and Jeff look like. Apparently, it was the first daily comic strip ever. More than 300 cartoons, animated cartoons, were released by Fox and done by the Bar Studio. So 20 cartoons available in volume 1. I don't know if they're going to try to do all of them. But if you're a comic strip guy or girl or gal, we usually say guy and gal, don't we? If you're into comic strips, let's put it that way, you might want to check out Mutt and Jeff. Classic stuff. I've never really read them much, but I do remember. So part of the deal was, I want to say Mutt was the short one, Jeff was the tall one. And I can remember when you'd see a tall and short person together back in the day, like my mom would say, oh, they looked like Mutt and Jeff. So it was like, they just kind of became part of the pop culture vernacular. Those two characters. And now most people probably don't know who Mutt and Jeff are. Worth thinking about. Worth thinking about. You know, we think about a character like Batman and say, well, Batman will still be known 200-300 years from now. I mean, he's Batman. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. There were probably people who, Mutt and Jeff, it's going to be around forever. It's Mutt and Jeff. It's been around for 3 decades. Mutt and Jeff will never go away. There's cartoons. There's comic books. There's comic strips. Mutt and Jeff are gone now. Just about completely forgotten. But if you don't want to forget them, you might want to check out those cartoons. Okay, we're going to end this with a couple indie comic book bits on, I believe both on Indiegogo. So from Andy Smith and Dennis Turner, they've been doing the Kordrath comic books. It's kind of bodacious barbarian action with a little bit of a D&D twist to it. This is the next volume they got. Lilith, who is like a succubus character from the books, getting her own volume, $25 for the main cover. Shipping is planned for July of 2026. The description is as follows. Venture into the 123rd lair of the abyss, Klimonsaria. Lilith returns home to report back to her queen with new information. But how did Lilith get to be assigned to the Shattered Reach in the first place? This is the story of how a new threat emerged. Vexarion, ruler of Lair 124, wanting to enslave their female cousins on the 123rd lair. So she's got a mission. She's got to infiltrate, assassinate, and destroy the heart of Vexarion's power before he consumes all. So we got demons versus demons in the abyss. Good stuff. Again, good D&D fodder. He's also doing a limited edition with a retro cover on newsprint. This is $30. It's going to be numbered. It's going to be signed. Only 100 issues of this are going to be created, so you might want to get in on that. Looks very cool. I do love the newsprint. Looks like a good printing of it as well. And now I'm looking at it. It may be in more flat coloring too, which would be kind of cool. And that would, if you got to recolor something, makes sense that it might cost a little more, but you might want to check that out. On Indiegogo from Andy Smith and Dennis Turner. I've had fun with the Kordrath books. I've got the first 2 issues. I'm going to pick this one up at some point, but like I said, I bought a couple things recently, so I'm like, lay off for a little while. This one also popped up, Replicator number 4 from Robert Arnold, again on Indiegogo, 48-page comic, $20 for the main cover. You can get connecting covers from 1 through 4. That's 136 pages altogether for $65. But what got me was art looks really, really, really good in this. And that's something I look at. You'll see like new indie comic things pop up with an amazing cover or multiple amazing covers. I always go check these things out. But the first thing I'm looking for is, what's the interior art look like? And I'll be honest with you, very often the interior art is a letdown. And if I'm not impressed by the interior art, I'm not going to bring it up here. Again, I don't have massive viewership, so it's not like I'm going to destroy anybody's career by not talking about it, but I am looking for that interior work. Don't neglect the interior art. It's great that you can go and pay, people to do amazing covers, but that interior art is very, very, very important. And this interior art looked really good. And this is interior. This is not a cover. This is the interior. The idea behind this is when a virus kills millions, one scientist, Sarah, discovers a potential cure. However, she goes missing in unusual circumstances, and her husband, Riker, is forced down a path that will change him forever. So he's got to rescue his wife so he can rescue the world. Cool stuff. But yeah, very awesome art. So I wanted to bring that one up to everybody. That is it for coming attractions. 21 items, man. That's a little less than last week, but not by much. Okay. It is review time. Got a few things that I managed to read and watch this week since I had a little extra time. After the Fox, 1966. This is a Peter Sellers movie with Britt Eklund, Victor Mature, Martin Balsam, Miss Italy, Maria Grazia Buccella, And I got to tell you what, it was funny. It was funny. I wasn't sure. It's like an Italian movie, but they had an English screenplay written by Neil Simon with the help of Cesar Zavattini. Good dialogue. It has some of the hallmarks of Simon. He, at the time, had 3 big hit shows running on Broadway that he did this. What got me was, it's a heist comedy. Really kind of about smuggling gold from Egypt into Italy, as my Superman figures almost fall over. And, you know, there's some just like outright funny stuff. It's a funny situation, but it's like the nuances, little bits that Sellers does, little movements, the way he talks. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure what I was going to get with this one, but I really did enjoy it. So you might want to check out After the Fox, funny movie from 1966. And then this is because I watched some people read some people talk about this on X. Haunted Palace, 1963. When they showed the poster, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that one. That's Vincent Price. I've seen that. And then they're talking about it. I'm like going, oh, I don't think I've seen that. I haven't seen that movie. Holy crap. Vincent Price, Lon Chaney Jr., Deborah Paget in her final film, directed by Roger Corman. The title is derived from an Edgar Allan Poe poem, but the story is based on H.P. Lovecraft's The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Solid movie, eerie. Vincent Price is awesome, and some people have said this is where Vincent Price really kind of started to become the king of horror movies. There was one reveal in it that left me underwhelmed. A lot of sizzle, no steak, but some great character actors in the supporting roles. Had a really fun time with this one. If you've never seen The Haunted Palace, you want to check this one out. It was good. Now for one somewhat different. So I'm a big fan of an actress named Lynn Barry from the 40s. I really like her. I've seen her in a few things. She was in some Michael Shayne detective movies, 1 or 2 of them. She just always struck me. There's certain actors and actresses who they act, and they have a charisma. They act, and there's other ones where it feels like you're seeing the authentic person. There's an intelligence in the eyes, what have you. And she's one of those actresses who I'm like, I don't know, feels very real in what she does. This is kind of a funny movie, though. It's called The Perfect Snob. You got Charles Ruggles, who I just love. Great voice. He did the voiceover for Aesop's Fables on the old Bullwinkle cartoons. He was in Beverly Hillbillies, playing the father of Mrs. Drysdale. Funny guy. Did a lot of great stuff back in the day. He plays a veterinarian who's got a wife who has illusions of being part of the upper class. So kind of like Hyacinth Bouquet in the old Keeping Up Appearances Britcom. And so his daughter is coming home from college. Very excited about that. She's graduating college, coming home. She got put through like boarding schools and finishing schools because mom wanted her to be with the upper crust. And so she's coming home from college, and he's like, oh, great, I can actually spend some time with my daughter. Well, no, daughter and mom are running off for a trip in Hawaii, leaving dad behind. And he's like, what the? So they run off to Hawaii because they're shopping for a rich husband. And he finds out from a reporter that there's a particular rich husband that they look like they've zeroed in on. And he's like, all right, screw this. He goes off to Hawaii to get involved and help screw things up for them and maybe actually save her from a very unpleasant or unhappy marriage. Cornell Wilde is in it. Anthony Quinn is in it. Charlotte Greenwood plays the wife. Her and Ruggles are hilarious in it. They're really good. It's a more, underplayed sort of comedy. It's not, like Jerry Lewis kind of stuff. It's underplayed, but it's really good. Perfect Snob. Didn't know what I was getting into when I clicked it, and I really enjoyed it. Had a fun time. Also did a rewatch of Dick Tracy Meets Gruesome. Not necessarily a great Dick Tracy adaptation, but I like Ralph Byrd in the role. He played Dick Tracy a ton. And of course, you got Boris Karloff as the villain. Anne Gwynn makes a good Tess Trueheart. If you've never watched any of these old movies, Dick Tracy movies with Ralph Byrd, they're fun. They're fun, solid B movies, enjoyable. And again, Karloff, awesome in this one. Now, this movie, I literally clicked it with, it was on YouTube. I didn't know what it was. What was I looking? I was looking for something else. And this came up, and it has nothing to do with what I was looking for. Hot Summer Night. By the way, I made a post on X just about this movie, and it got 1.8 thousand, views or impressions or whatever. And mind you, on X, I generally trend about 20 to 30. If I get 45 impressions on something, I'm doing real good. Only reason I can think of is this movie stars Leslie Nielsen. And this is before he became a comedian in movies. And I had written, if you ever wanted to see Frank Drebin in a fist fight with Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, this is the movie for you. And I think it was the use of the words Frank Drebin, because the Naked Gun movie just came out, that got people, it put it into people's feeds or something. It was weird. I was like, I did what? How many on this thing? At any rate, pretty good. Leslie Nielsen plays a reporter who's been fired. He's on his honeymoon with his wife, who's kind of naive. And he's trying to find a big story that'll get him back into the paper business. And there's been this bank robbery. Nobody can find the bank robbers. The guy who did it is sort of a local legend. So he goes off to hunt down this story, winds up being a hostage. I wouldn't call it exactly a film noir, but it's a little bit like a film noir. Pretty damn solid, though. A lot of solid character actors in this one. James Best is in it. Of course, Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane on The Dukes of Hazzard, but he did a lot of stuff beyond that. Edward Andrews, J.C. Flippin, Claude Akins. If you don't know the names right away, you know the faces. You've seen them in things before. But it was actually a pretty solid movie. Not a happy movie, not a fun movie, but it was a solid little crime flick. Hot Summer Night. You might want to check that one out if you're into that stuff. Oop, not ready for that one yet. I got a couple reviews of books that I managed to finish. Finish this one today, the Archie's Super Teens. You get a story in the beginning done with art by David Williams, Gary Martin, Kelsey Shannon. And they did some writing too. But it's got the Super Teens with the Mighty Crusaders. I think we get a couple good group shots of those characters. Great art. Fun little goofy story. And then you get some reprints of old Archie Super Teen type stories, or superhero stories. Fun stuff. Great art. Some of the best. Finished that one this week. I enjoyed it. Psycho KO. Colossal Comics Compendium. I got this a couple weeks ago. Finally finished it. I had a lot of fun with this book. I got to be honest. It's sort of inspired by 70s and 80s cartoons, tokusatsu, the live action kid stuff from back in the day, little Scooby-Doo elements to it. In fact, there is one where they're in a haunted castle that's got a lot of Scooby-Doo going to it. Very fun. Rob Feldman. And apparently they've done a animated version with the cast, or a bunch of the cast, of Napoleon Dynamite doing voices of the characters in this book. And they're going to be premiering that soon. I'm not sure where, though, but I did see on X where you could submit questions to be answered by the people on in the cast. So I submitted a stupid question. But at any rate, that was good. I like Psycho KO. I'll be on the lookout for more of that in the future. But I did want to call this out again. I finally finished reading Cryptology number 4. This is a great friggin' magazine. This is like old film facts, if you're old enough to know. You got, now this is horror, so there's no real sci-fi or anything in it. You got articles about a lot of horror comic books, 3D monster movies and comics. There's, let's see, Harry Lazarus. What I loved is a ton of stuff in this book that was new to me, which is what I loved about Film Facts. Now, I'm not saying like I'm some mega expert on all this stuff, but, like, you can't teach me. No, there's plenty for me to learn, but this one had a lot of good stuff in that regard. I am definitely going to be picking up future issues of Cryptology. It was a very fun read. Good, to me, a good balance of art and of writing, because some modern magazines, it's like 90% art with tiny little snippets of writing. Good articles by people who know what they're talking about. In fact, sorry, I had to wet the old whistle there. For me, it's like, do I want to get future issues of Heavy Metal? I reviewed Heavy Metal #1 on one of these live streams, and I liked it a great deal. Issue #2 is now out. I talked about that last week, and I'm going, I only have so much room for more magazines, really. It's a great value, Heavy Metal. I mean, it's thick. It's not expensive. Great stuff in it, but I think I'm going Cryptology instead of Heavy Metal. I can really only justify one or the other, and I don't know that I'm going to hold on to these Cryptologies forever. I'll probably let them go at some point, but it was really good. I was just really impressed with Cryptology. Highly suggest you go check that out. I got mine at mymonstermovie.com. You could also get it directly from the publisher Tomorrow's. And Tomorrow's has other stuff as well. Retro Fan, Back Issue, which covers comics. I think there's another ad. These are books they got that are now shipping. There we go. How do we center that? There we go. A lot of cool stuff. Very well put together. So I think I'm going to go Cryptology instead of Heavy Metal. I got so much stuff to read too, that Heavy Metal, it's a lot of reading. It's a big magazine. But I will say this, if you're looking for a good value, you like European style comics and stuff like that, you really do need to check out the new Heavy Metal. Very well done and a very good price for how much material you get. Get a lot of reading material out of it. So this is not me saying, the hell with it. No, it was really worthwhile, but I am at a point, well, again, until I evict my daughter and use her room for storage, I've got to be a little more careful about what I'm buying. Okay, let's end this stream with my favorite thing on the internet this week. This was something posted on X by BC Comics, BC Komix. You might want to follow him. These are some images of old Viewmaster slides for the Flintstones. And they did a few things like this back in the day that were these little 3D models of cartoon characters. I can remember a Tom and Jerry one. I can remember some other Hanna-Barbera stuff as well. There's a few images from it, and it was just a blast from the past for me. And I remember just thinking these were the coolest things in the world. It's like, it's not live action exactly, but it's kind of live action in a way, because you were getting to see these cartoon characters in 3 dimensions instead of just 2. But I thought I'd share those images with you. BC Comics has a lot of cool stuff. I follow him on Twitter, X. You might want to do the same if you like a lot of groovy, cool, goofy stuff from the olden days. That'll do it, I think, for this stream. Lots of news tidbits, lots of coming attractions. Yeah, my wife says those ring familiar to her. Yeah, you probably remember them as well. Those would be worth getting a hold of. Or even just, I wonder if somebody maybe has a gallery online with all of those. And then the other thing I wondered looking at them was, like, whatever happened to these? Like, as if you notice, like, were these figures that could be posed like a claymation kind of thing? I got to assume they were, because I can't imagine they made separate dioramas for each thing. But look at that. You got like Fred's house and the fucking antenna in the background. You know, Flintstones, by the way, post-apocalyptic, not the Stone Age. Keep that in mind. But the just amazing friggin' work. This, by the way, is about Wilma getting a driver's license and Fred trying to teach her, because as we all know, women drivers, right? Oh my God, guys, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was an old trope from back in the day. But I wondered, like, do these still exist? Were these preserved? Does somebody have these somewhere? Not just the Flintstones ones, but the other ones. Well, oh God, it breaks my heart to think these things probably at some point deteriorated and went away, because the work that clearly went into this stuff is just amazing. We did stuff like this and money was made on it. And now it seems like we can't do anything cool like this and make money. It's always individuals working on their own for free that do all this cool stuff now. And you'll catch it on YouTube or Twitter, or Instagram, whatever. Corporations kind of suck. They've gotten so damn cheap that they're penny wise, pound foolish. Penny wise, pound foolish. Sums them up. All right, folks, that'll do it. Coming this week in Dad's Den, Monday, Justice League America, number 36. And Justice League Europe, number 6 and 7. Because of the way the story lays out, it'll actually be JLE 6, JLA 36, JLE 7. It's a storyline involving, well, sort of the living dead, sort of. It was the first Justice League America, Justice League crossover, or Justice League Europe crossover that they did when they had the two books going. So you might want to check that out. On Wednesday, as I had promised, Finn's The Spook, a review of Night of the Demon, movie from 1957. Had a good time rewatching this one. There's some really cool stuff in this. And if memory serves, I got to edit that one here. And I made about 800 screw-ups in that one. I made a lot of videos over the last week or so, that a lot of editing to be done. I don't know what was going on with my brain. And then Friday, I'm taking a look, or did I switch those around? I think it's Wednesday and Friday. Yeah, it'll be this week either way. Friday, I'm taking a look at the Firestar limited series. You remember Firestar was the character introduced on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Well, they wrapped her into the Marvel Universe, and of course she would later be in the New Warriors comic book. This was her limited series from 1986. I'm going to do a quick rundown review on that. And of course, next Sunday, another live stream where I think I'm going to be doing a little look at some favorite summer movies of mine, stuff we try to put on every summer. I'm honest, we have not done this summer at all because we've been kind of busy. But so that's what's coming up this next week in Dad's Den. Hopefully I'll see you for some of that. But thank you, everybody who listened to this little goofy live stream of mine. Anton, thank you for being in the chat. I do appreciate it. Loved hearing from you. Folks, jump in the chat, man. I don't have like a massive audience, so I can promise you I will actually see what you're saying. It won't be one of those deals where 4 million people are trying to talk at once. But thank you, Anton, for jumping into the chat. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time. God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there, and I will see you hopefully again soon, hopefully tomorrow, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.